Hello and good morning to all my friends at Outstanding Ohio. This is Scott with Inspection Tech. I'm going to share with you guys today some things to look for in basements while you're shopping for a home. It's a highly competitive market, so I'm going to share with you some of the things that we look for that as a potential buyer you can be looking for as well. A little bit of information about me and our company. I'm the Ops Director here at Inspection Tech. There's our website, so feel free to explore. You can always reach out to me directly if you have any questions. I know we'll have some additional information in the post. So we'll just jump right in. So what are we going to be covering today? Basement moisture concerns, potential structural problems, an electrical red flag. So just kind of a high level look at some of the things that we're looking for that you can look for as well that will help you potentially find those issues. Moisture concerns, what types of issues are we looking for? What causes them? And then potential health effects. So if you've been into a basement, an old moldy basement, you've seen this, finished walls where down at the base there you see some potential microbial growth coming through, corners of finished areas, wood members that are damaged or rotted. And then behind finished spaces, this is sometimes the underlying, some of the underlying issues that we see. So you can see there things that we look for, especially in finished spaces. We're looking for moisture. We're using meters down at the baseboards, on the drywall, the finished walls themselves. Even the smallest amount can be an indicator that there's potentially an issue behind. So that's going to be one of the most important things we look for. And then in an unfinished space like this last picture, that's pretty clear that they're having some issues there as well. There are some things that are a little bit more typical. Fluorescence doesn't necessarily mean that there's a major issue, but part of a good inspection is being able to identify those things. So you're really looking for that penetration. You're looking for damaged finished spaces, and then your inspector should have a meter to be able to help make those decisions and help you with that. So some of the causes. Negative grading is this first one. So basically the house should be on a crown, right, with everything kind of pitched away from it. When you have grading back toward the house, that can cause some of these issues. High grading, basically up on the side of the house, kind of underneath the siding line there. Downspouts that discharge adjacent to the foundation. Shrubs overgrown, so vegetation in contact with the home. These are all things that can potentially cause issues in the basement. Gutters and grading are two of the major factors when it comes to moisture in a basement space. So to kind of go along with the moisture, our structural concerns, sometimes these go hand in hand. So we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to be looking for on the structure front, and then some of the correlative things between the two. What should I be looking for? Are these cracks typical? Can moisture concerns affect structures? So you see vertical cracks. Vertical cracks are what are generally the more typical thing. A vertical crack with little movement can generally not be an issue. It's when you start to get into some of the larger ones. So large diagonal step cracks can be issues depending on the size. Obviously the V-heave and the pyramid at the edge here, you can see there's significant movement around that electrical meter there. That's definitely a structural concern. And then horizontal cracks are kind of, the ones that have several causes that we see that generally, has a recommendation for structural attached to it, depending on its severity. So if there's significant movement and you're seeing bowing and even, shearing down at the base, of the wall, those are things that are potentially, going to be things that will need a potential structural engineer to come out, because those are the things that can have an effect on your structure long term. That can be, high dollar repairs potentially. So we'll talk a little bit more here about, what to look for you in terms of how new are some of these. So just some indicators for us. So you can see here on the top left that this is a previous repair that opened up again. So there was movement. they repaired it and it continued to move. So sharp edges at cracks, that's for us an indicator that it's potential that it's newer. So as time, especially in an exterior like this foundationally, as time goes, the edges start to shear off slightly, and you can tell that it's been there a little bit longer. With something like this, the movement is newer, and this is definitely something that you'd see potentially in a basement too. And then painted wall with no paint inside the crack. So again, you can never tell for sure how long it's been, but there are indicators to tell you how long a crack has been there. And then no dust or debris. This is a picture here of foundation cracks, and it shows a little bit of kind of that correlation that I was talking about between moisture penetration and potential structure issues, which you can see that there's hydrostatic pressure from the exterior that's kind of pressing onto the wall and causing it to bow outward, which can be, a potential structural thing that can be costly in terms of repair if left untreated. And again, that's kind of, sometimes when you see waterproofing done, you'll see one done with the other. Structural repairs will include, metal support beams, Kevlar. There's different options that they can have, but if you don't address the cause of it, then you could find yourself in, a further issue down the road. So it's important that you're helping very, very basically identifying, just something to keep an eye on, but that your home inspector is doing it as well. And then just kind of some information here on some crack repair, epoxy and polyurethane injections. And then sliding off that, we're just going to talk real quick about electrical red flags. Just a couple of real quick things that we look for. The first one is panel stuff, and the second one is outlets. So first thing, we're just going to talk about the outlets, ungrounded outlets, reverse polarity outlets, outlets without GFCIs. That's the first thing outlet-wise that we see in a basement. We want to make sure that we have GFCIs in unfinished spaces, grounded outlets in finished spaces, GFCIs within 6 feet of water, dedicated grounded outlets, for sub pumps and for appliances. So those are all things that I'd be looking for, but one of the easy identifiers for you would be to see, hey, is there a 2-prong outlet? Then it's ungrounded. And then Federal Pacific panels are the other thing. So these are always called out. These are Federal Pacific stab lock style panels. You can tell a lot of times because they have the orange breaker ends. And these are known to cause issues, which mostly include not tripping. So breaker doesn't trip, then it kind of defeats the purpose, right? So just a couple of things electrical wise to keep in mind. So with that said, I do appreciate the opportunity that I had with you folks today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Our website and my contact info are there. And then in the post should be my direct info. I appreciate the time, and everyone have a great day.